Hello, my name is Allison Onsmeyer, and I'm going to be giving you information about understanding the community of Wamego, which is home to USD 320 for Module 5. Some of the customs and traditions. We are a very active small town community. We are very rural. We have lots of support, community support given. We have lots of school spirit throughout all buildings. There's an equal emphasis on sports and academics, which I find to be very promising for our future kiddos. We see a lot of students working together to achieve high standards in academic, sports, and other extracurricular activities. We have a lot of families and staff who grew up in Wamego and then came back to either teach or raise their family in Wamego. We are a history-filled town. We are home to the Oz Museum, which is all about the Wizard of Oz. And throughout our town, we have a lot of things that are known for the Wizard of Oz. We also have the Columbian Theater, which is an old school theater that puts on productions throughout the year. We're also very active with the veterans. Our kids go on a flight every year with them. We also just had the traveling wall come through our town, so that was a great thing to have for our community. We also have a tulip festival, and then one of our biggest things is for the month of July, we are known as Boomtown for our 4th of July celebration. We bring in a lot of outside community members. People from all over the state come to see our fireworks show and participate in all the activities that we have to offer for the 4th of July. Some of the population characteristics, we are about 4,300 people. Wamego is, though, on a growing trend. I find that it's a small town with great resources, but it's still close to Manhattan. We have about 1,400 students, K through 12th grade. We do have 70 pre-K students, and that is growing each year. We're actually looking at potentially building a pre-K building because USD 320 is wanting to make sure that there's an emphasis on preschool and kindergarten readiness just to improve our schools in general. As far as occupations in Wamego, there's a lot of families that are involved in farming as far as crops and cattle, sales, banking, school staff, food service, lots of financial institutions. We are also seeing more families who are connected to the military. Our median age for Wamego is about 33 years old. I kind of found that interesting just because I am pretty young, I believe, for just getting out there in the community, but Wamego is gaining more and more young families each year. So, I mean, we do have those older residents, but I feel that we are a pretty young town, and that those younger families just keep growing. As far as the sex, we are pretty equal as far as male and female. We are a 94% white community. We don't have a lot of other races or nationalities in Wamego. We're pretty neutral. And then we also have a large Catholic and Methodist background within our community. Communication channels, we're actually pretty lucky. We have WTC, which is our place for like cable TV in Wamego. We don't use a lot of like DirecTV or Dish. WTC is the one who provides internet and cable throughout the Wamego community. We're lucky because they provide a channel for each of the schools that are pretty close around to relay information. We also rely on WIBW 13 and KSNT 27. We have the Wamego Times newspaper. We have a couple radio stations, one out of Topeka and then one out of Manhattan that kind of covers Wamego as well. For foreign language, the Hispanic population is so minimal, and then I was lucky enough to have a few French kids over the last couple years. But as far as, our ELL, I believe, is growing each year. But I think that's something that we're going to have to look towards, putting a little bit more emphasis on as we grow as a community. Interpretation is provided to all families and students in the school when needed. As far as community groups and organizations, we have the Chamber of Commerce. We have Young Wamego, which is kind of works hand in hand with the Chamber of Commerce. We have local church groups, 4-H clubs, Wamego MOPS, sports clubs, youth group, and adult rec opportunities. There's lots of things for the kids to get involved in. I feel like we are a very active and close-knit community, so people are always looking for ways to get more and more people involved at all levels so that everybody can participate. We have a lot of funding that we're able to use to really get those community groups and things off to a great start. As far as school groups and organizations, we have the PTOs, the parent organizations. We have various high school clubs and organizations. There's some that are only for kids, and then there's some for parents, and then there's some that parents and students work together. As for leadership, our superintendent was previously the high school principal for many years. He's in his third year as superintendent. He's very well respected around town and active in all buildings and really makes a face throughout the community. Our high school principal was just new to the district 3 years ago, but brings a great amount of knowledge and work ethic and has just been a great addition to the district. The assistant principal at the high school has served for many years, and he is also our athletic director. We'll be gaining a new middle school principal this year, and we're lucky that he was one of the teachers that worked in the building, so that transition should be pretty easy for him. The two elementary principals, the K2 and the 3-5, they're very good friends. They've worked underneath of one another, and so they have a great relationship, which I think is good since we are a K2 3-5 split. Just making sure that everything is continuing and that there's no gaps and things. So I think that they work really well together. We also have the Board of Education, and then we're lucky to have a pretty strong site council membership. In the community, Wamego is based or ran off a commission board, and then they appoint a city manager. I also find that our police department and our Wamego Chamber of Commerce is great leadership throughout the community just because they're so active and they make a lot of decisions and they make a lot of things happen. And they're also known throughout the schools as well. Community leader characteristics for our school leaders, I feel like they're very positive in their leadership roles. They're active in the community on all levels. They not only provide for the school, but they serve on various community committees. They're strong, dependent leaders, and they're really striving to make sure that things are better for all students. For the community leaders, they are very well known throughout town. A lot of them are business leaders that serve on the various commission boards and committees. And as far as getting community leaders and things like that, all the city meetings are open to the public and are promoted. So I just feel like there's a lot of community involvement with the leadership as well. Economic conditions, we are a rural town, but WTC Electric and utility companies play a great role in providing a source of income for families just because Wamego has their own electric and own water. So we have to make sure that we have enough people to run those utilities for everybody. We also have CanEquip and CAT. USD 320 provides a lot of jobs. We have our own hospital in Wamego. We have a Dollar General and a great grocery store, various fast food restaurants, and lots of small businesses through town. Our median household income is around $52,000. We are lower on the poverty level in comparison to the United States. We are growing with employment. So with that said, USD 320 is still considered a Title I school, as a good portion of our families meet those requirements. Even though we do have lower poverty levels, we still have a lot of lower income families as well. Schools are always expanding to meet the needs of the growing population. We're having to look more into that as our population continues to grow. For the political structure, I see that our administrative team and board members work very close. I don't see a lot of huff or hear a lot about disagreements between the two. They usually, they may disagree, but they always try to find a common ground. They're always wanting to do what's best for the students, as we are a growing district, so they're having to work really closely together. With that said, we just had a bond that passed a couple years ago, last year actually. We're seeing that in place. So throughout that whole, bond issue and things like that, we did have a lot of family and community support. And, within that bond issue, we had lots of community input and things like that. So I believe that our community has a strong passion for the school. As far as social tension, there's not a lot of diversity in Wamego, and since we are a small town, I think that the biggest issue that we have is, that there are a few cliques. Lots of families have strong roots in Wamego, so cliques have formed. Um, and sometimes that does show up through the schools, especially in the parent organizations. They kind of work with who they're most comfortable with. So we're trying to get them, to really reach out and get more parents involved versus just their friends. And as always with a small town, there's some gossip and everybody else knows everybody's business, but I don't think we have a lot of social tensions. I got a lot of my information about USD 320 just from my own knowledge, but also from the cancer report card, and you can go gain a lot more knowledge about Wamego. Also, the USD 320's website just got upgraded, so it's a little bit more user-friendly within the last year. Through our school board meeting minutes, for more information about the Wamego community as a whole, you can always go to the City of Wamego's website. And I got a lot of information from the U.S. data online in the Census Bureau. And we are a pretty well social media town, so there's various Facebook and other social media groups that you can stay up to date with the town and schools. For the power structures in USD 320, I would say that we're pretty normal. We have our Board of Education, we have the superintendent, then we have the administrative team, teachers, and coaches. But I would say that that's pretty fluid between all of those. We work pretty closely. Everybody values everybody's input, so it's not like you have to do this or anything like that. I feel like teachers can really voice their opinion and be heard in the USD 320 district. We also really do have a good power of families who are invested in school and also community businesses and members who take a large part in our district. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't see a lot of multicultural issues in Wamego just because there's very little diversity. We are seeing more military families and foreign exchange families from K-State who have started to come to Wamego. And I think that we will, have more multicultural and diversity in Wamego's district as the years grow. But I don't see that as being an issue right now. Lots of decisions are made by the leadership within the school and community, but also stakeholders step up and, help to make those decisions and really help with the power structure, but ultimately goes back to leadership. We are seeing more voices and opinions and committees formed to address the area since we are growing as a district. And I think that's great just so that everybody feels like they have an input. Within the school, though, teachers and administrators do work together very closely, especially with any discipline or decision that needs to be made. A lot of that happens, just within your building. I feel that our administrative team is very respectful to all staff members' views, and that really allows us to move forward in a positive manner. As far as public opinion, I believe that our community is very behind and supportive of the school district. I feel like we are a very strong school district in comparison to some of those around us. We have a lot to offer, and so I think that our community is proud of that and sees that through the hard work that our teachers do and all the things that our students are doing. And we do use a variety of ways to get information out. We're always looking for rooms of improvement as far as encouraging them to come to visit to the buildings and attending board meetings and site council meetings. We did recently, since we are working on our KISA, we're on our second year of KISA, so one of the relationship rubrics is what we're focusing on Wamego. So we did send out a couple public opinion surveys. We sent out a parent and a student one. We just got those back, and we kind of looked at that data last year as a team, and then as a school team, and then at the district level. We're working to create a community opinion survey to send out, but we're always looking to help people see the good in USD 320. But that kind of gives a big overview of Wamego as a community. It's a great small town, and lots of great things are happening in it.